on Saturday night.
Everybody's waiting for a good time.
Blue city slickers and loaded dice.
Take your money in the big time.
How does the heart feel when you play with your family?
Wow. I think it's that warm, secure feeling of doing the thing that you love together with the people you love.
And you're smiling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. All the time.
You've been playing this guitar since you were a kid.
And
you
I'm still learning.
And you're still practicing.
Yeah.
The value of practice. What is it?
Number one, it just feels really good. I like to practice because my connection to the guitar makes me feel better. It's kind of therapy, really. Always takes a certain amount of time to work up to where you were yesterday. I mean, it doesn't just start right there. You kind of sink back or something. Your muscles have to get warm again, I suppose. But then what's cool about it is the next day, meaning today, you start practicing and then you get better at something than you were yesterday. And that happens every single day for me. It's always trying, you know, sometimes there's a big chunk I'm trying to get better at, and sometimes it's just some little thing. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more you understand it, I guess. And you develop the actual coordination.
I can see it in your hands. You still have joy in the craft of it all.
Yeah, when I make a clunker or two, I'm kind
No.
of disappointed in myself. But then you get in that zone and everything's working. It feels good.
What is that zone?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I can describe it. Everything's effortless. It just seems to make a lot of sense.
Well, it seems like you still have this drive to play well, to write songs, to be the best you can be. You're not taking it easy in any way.
Not really. Well, for instance, this morning before we came here, I practiced guitar again, which I do every morning.
I hear you practice 3 to 6 hours a day?
These days it's probably more like 3.
3 hours a day?
Yeah, 3. Probably about 2 to 3, I'd say. We've been pretty busy traveling and stuff. That's ingrained in me, and also when I do that, that's kind of, I guess, what for other people would be their office and their meditation space, you know, to kind of get it together to do their job. I'm practicing, and I do have various things I'm trying to get better at, but it also allows me to mentally and spiritually bond with the music that I love. You know, there's always little bits of stuff that I'm not good at and I wish I was better at. Some parts I'm happy with, some parts I'm still trying to fix.
What are you still trying to fix?
My guitar tone. You know, there's always an endless quest of getting. It's kind of like, I guess, an orator would be trying to describe this idea to an audience and find just the right words. And in that same way, I'm trying to find just the right tone to play a certain thing. You know, I feel like if I find that and I'm really happy with it, then they will understand. Now that might be a musician's false comfort, but that's all I've got. In other words, if I think it tastes great, hopefully they're going to think it tastes great, you know. That's all I've got to judge it by.
John, when you look at those photos of yourself from the late 60s, the early 70s, what do you see when you look at that man?
Well, I've gotten more comfortable with that person in those pictures from long ago. And so I think that allows me to kind of feel better about it, I suppose. How can I say it? I was confused about the tension and the grumbling that was going on within the band. And certainly, you know, we ended up having really a troubled relationship with Saul, who was the owner of the label. And because it was not a big label, it became personal because we knew that individual person, and he was screwing us, you know. The reason I'm more comfortable is because it has turned out okay now, right? But for many years, I would look at those pictures and kind of be sad, because it was sort of a tragic thing. I think the kid doing it at the time just sort of thought that, oh, well, I tried really hard and I was hoping to grow up and be Babe Ruth, you know. But, I mean, who knew that it would actually come true in a sense? But man, it was, you know, it was working. I thought everybody around me could see that and understood that it was working and that this was great. And I have a feeling that they didn't see it that way.
Are you at peace with Creedence?
Yeah, I think so. It depends on what you may mean by that. The way I accept it as inevitable, I'm laughing at myself now. I have been sued innumerable times by members, you know, my former bandmates, let me put it that way. Sometimes it was actually my brother Tom, but after he passed, even his widow has joined with Doug and Stu and has sued me. It's ironic that 80-year-old people are still suing each other. So if you mean at peace that way, I just accept all those things as kind of inevitable. That's all. It's not surprising anymore.
A guy who grows up in Northern California and can only dream of the South, dream of the swamp, yet you fall in love with it. And the sounds of that story of America, you just soak up. How does that happen?
Well, I'm not really sure. Sometimes I think about that. Then I tell myself, gee, John, don't think too much. Don't overthink this.
But I really want to know, John, how does that happen?
Well, I think the process had been going on. It literally started when I was 3 years old, and my mom sat me down and played a Stephen Foster record for me. There were 2 songs, Oh Susanna and Camptown Races, and explained to me that Stephen Foster was the songwriter. That's a very unusual thing to happen to any person, but especially a kid. And so that she's set me off on the path of knowing about Stephen Foster, really admiring especially Oh Susanna and Camptown Races, which I still to this day and in subconscious things I'll break into going doo-dah, doo-dah. I mean, it just comes out of me. But loving and admiring that sort of music, anyhow, I through my life seem to have just absorbed those things. Of course, Stephen Foster, but also the wonderful music in rock and roll particularly, but even folk music, folk songs like Cotton Fields, that just seem to have a very Southern origin to them. And so many of the great records that I loved, people like Slim Harpo or Elvis Presley or Carl Perkins, you know, Lead Belly himself. So many of these people seem to be Southern and speaking from Southern culture. So in that sense, I just absorbed that. I think the surprising thing is that so much time has passed. I think that, you know, we live in such a disposable culture, I think. The fact that music that I wrote long ago is still played and still, in some cases, resonating and viable, and people arguing about what the words mean and that sort of thing.
And if you look out at your audiences, there are young faces and older faces. That's got to feel good.
Well, I happen to think the joy in the music, the joy in the process of getting to sing along with the guy that wrote the song and sang the song, I think that's world or dimension unto itself. So I go to work, start playing my songs, hit them with a lot of energy, and all the mundane stuff, it's like tightening the lugs on the wheels of your car and making sure you have oil in the oil tank and gas and the windshield's clean, all the just the physical stuff to make sure you can go on your trip, on your journey. That's sort of matter of fact, because that's physical, and if you're responsible, you can do that. But the part that's what everybody's waiting for, there's a shared energy between me, the performer, and the audience, and we're singing these songs, beginning to go through time of the concert. And I've always said there's a big ball of energy. To me, what it really is joy and love. And what happens is both of us are very engaged in just enjoying this, and the ball just seems to lift up like that. And it goes up and stays up there until the end of the show.
A lot of your friends say, yes, you're a rock star. Yes, you're a total professional. But you're also a quiet family man.
Oh, very much so. I think that's the best part. I mean, I think all I was trying to say is the true joy of living and the experience of having a family was all that emotional feedback. I guess you might call it the reward. I mean, just to me, it was the joy of getting to go through that experience. It's far more meaningful than anything else to me. And so, God, I wouldn't trade that for the world. But years and years ago, I had problems with alcohol, and that went on for years and years. I was alcoholic. I was a mess. I feel sorry for anybody in that mode, because all you're doing is making yourself more of a mess, and the longer it goes, the harder it is to climb out of that mess. I didn't do it by myself. I met Julie, and she helped me basically because I fell in love. And at some point, and she loved me, and at some point, she got real. And the real was, hey, sailor, I'm not going to be with you if you stay like that.
She saved you?
Yes. Oh, of course.
I was with him when I never knew that there would be another song ever coming out of him. He wasn't doing his songs and playing songs and touring, and he wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't touching a guitar, wouldn't allow me to play the radio, couldn't have music on in the house, wouldn't watch it on TV, and that was so hard for me.
It must have been a tough time.
That was hard. It was hard for me to understand, and it was painful. And so being on tour with the kids, and over the years, seeing how that changed and that grew and that felt, and he's written some of the best songs that have ever been written, and for him to walk away from that, I think at the time of CCR, there wasn't one person in his inner circle that said, John, we think what you're doing is great. Wasn't the label, wasn't his brother in the band, wasn't his bandmates, wasn't his wife, wasn't his mother, wasn't his sister. And I'll ask him from time to time, was your mom ever at any of your shows, or your wife, or your cousins, or this or that? And he said, well, a couple. And I said, imagine, John, it's your child, and they're the star football player in the high school or the college. You couldn't keep me away from that, right? Because it's pride and love and support and all of that. But there wasn't one person that was around John Fogerty at that time that ever did that ever said, John, you're doing great, keep going, keep going. Instead, it was always, they looked at it as, well, John, you're getting quite a repertoire. Or they would say things to John that would be derogatory. And, I think now he's flanked by his sons on stage. I'm over on the sidelines. Our daughters come and they help and they're around. And we're all cheering him on. That's what it is today. And that's our family. I mean, and they've been with us. I mean, we're a close family because I think we put the time in and the care and the love.
I've seen the way you look at him and he looks at you. What do you understand about John that we don't?
I think he's a simple man. He's a beautiful man. He's a wonderful father. He's a dedicated, loyal person. I always said, marry someone whose character you admire because that lasts a lifetime. And that's why we're still together. He's a beautiful soul, a wonderful man.
It is interesting for someone with so much success to not be all about rock and roll and ego, celebrity.
Right. That's the beautiful man I just described.
Where do you think that comes from, his character?
Oh, I don't know. It's his soul. He's been that way since he was little. I don't know. But, even the hard times, he was always honorable and honest, trustworthy, life is tough sometimes. And some people choose different paths to deal with it. And he dealt with it in a very unhealthy way for many years. But I think he had always that little bit of hope or a little bit of something that kept him going.
What's it like when you're right off stage, looking at your sons, looking at your husband, and your whole family is there at this point in your lives, having fun?
Well, I think that's a dream come true now, isn't it? Having your family right there with you and doing what they love, and that they're spreading joy and they feel joy, and it brings joy to me. So, and I always feel like if you can bring joy to others, that's the secret of a great life or a successful life.
That was it, yeah.
Do you remember John teaching them guitar 20 years ago?
I know one time, well, yeah, there were a lot of different moments, but one of the first ones was Shane came to me and said, Dad, I want you to show me how to play this song. And so he took me up in his room, and he had a laptop computer, I think. Anyway, and he had a bunch of songs on there, and what he wanted to learn was Back in Black by AC/DC. He wanted to learn the intro of the song. So I didn't know it, actually, because AC/DC busted out kind of after my career, so they weren't one of my building blocks, you might say. So I had to go and learn the intro myself first, and then I showed them. It's a really cool part.
What is it about your father's music from the 60s and 70s, and of course the 80s, 90s, and today, but those original songs, what is it about those songs that connects with people your age?
I mean, they're timeless. The songs are great, and I think they speak for themselves. And yeah, anyone can find meaning and a personal attachment to it because they're simple, but they are, they're practically perfect and executed perfectly. The singing is incredible like no other, and the guitar playing is very unique and awesome. And yeah, it's just stuff like that is just people I don't think will ever forget or there will always be younger people discovering his music and getting into it, as long as we have a way to play it.
Yeah, I feel like just the power of the songs themselves. Back then, you kind of had to do a lot more with the song. Like, you had to make somebody feel a certain way. There wasn't a whole bunch of stage show you could hide behind, a whole bunch of, I don't know, social media you could kind of bloat the whole thing with. And I think they were just so simple and effective and real that people now pick up on that because there isn't a whole bunch of that out there. So, yeah, it makes total sense that people would still be loving that.
Clean a lot of plates in Memphis, pump a lot of fame down New Orleans, but I never saw good side of a city till I hit the ride on a riverboat